statement is as follows. The mission of the Ulster County ID Agency is to advance the job opportunities, general prosperity, and long-term economic vitality of Ulster County residents by targeting tax incentives, bonding, and other assistance to foster creation and attraction of new business and the retention and expansion of existing business. That brings us to the minutes of the October 20th meeting, 2021. You have all of them in front of you. Would you please take a couple of minutes to review? And at that point, I'll entertain a motion to either accept as presented or with corrections. Hello, Tim.
Good morning, Chair Malcolm.
Hey, Timmy.
Good, good.
Hey, Dan.
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Anything on the question? No? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Accept the minutes as presented. Public comment on agenda items only. Do we have anyone? No? Okay. All right, we have an executive session that's expected to be at least 15 minutes. Rose, is there anything that we need to tell Bill or? You're muted.
Sorry, I was letting someone in at the same time. I think we're not able to do that today, Jimmy.
Okay, it's on the agenda, so
Yes, sorry.
why aren't we able to do that?
I sent you a
Reason?
message. Yeah, I sent you a message earlier.
Okay. And you've spoken to counsel, he said we can't? Is there anything we have to discuss in executive session is all I'm asking?
No.
Okay. Good, good, good. Financials on page 15.
Rose, if you would do those.
Sure. So on page 15, there was an application fee that came in October, which was for CHPE. And then there was a miscellaneous fee, $550 charged to Star Estate for some documents that had to be drawn up and signed by the chair. The administrative fees, the pass-through was really just low-key bro for both RBW and for Innis. There were the administrative fees for October and the live stream. The postage or office expense is negative, but that just reflects a reimbursement from the CRC to offset the quarterly expense of 51 cents that belonged to the CRC and not the IDA. And then there was a obviously very small amount of interest and a disappointing amount of interest for October. On the balance sheet on page 16, the statement of financial position, you can see we have most of the money in the checking account at Bank of Greene County because of some fees that came over to it. And then we left a fair chunk there because they had actually a higher interest rate than both the savings and the checking at M&T Bank. It's not a huge difference, but doing the best we can. And then Rhinebeck savings, we let the CD roll over again this year because it was honestly one of the best rates around, even though it was terrible as well. Then we have the CRC financials on page 17. The only thing that happened for the month of October would have been the interest income. And the same thing on the balance sheet in the statement of financial position on page 18. Same reasoning for where the funds are located.
Is that it, Rose?
That's it.
Any questions on the financials? I get a motion to accept the financials as presented then.
I'll make a motion, Chair.
I have a motion by Mr. Ham. Do I have a second? Mr. Savona?
Second.
Anyone on the question? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So just for clarification purposes, Rose, if I have something I want to discuss in executive session right now, we're precluded from doing that?
Yes.
Never realized that.
What we do is go back into open session, and then indicate that there's an item that you want to go into executive session.
Well, we're in open session now. I want to, okay, Rose is shaking her head and council's telling me I can.
Mhm.
No, the issue, Joe, isn't whether or not like we technically can. The issue is that we can't with the way the live streaming is set up.
We can't
Oh.
take people out of the room when we go into executive session?
Right. With the way it's set up today.
Oh, just today, because we've done this before virtually.
Yes. Yep.
Well, timing's an issue as well.
Yeah, I think I'm a half step behind on the tech now here. We go off of live streaming, right, to go into executive session, and we can't go off of streaming.
Yes, and we can go off of the live streaming, but I don't know that I can put all of the people out of the room today
I see.
without messing up the live streaming coming back on.
Can
So
we do
to
it
be
at the end of
clear,
the
to be clear, because there's a disagreement between staff and council, it's because of technology legal issues.
Yes, it's just technology. It's not legal. Yes.
So is this a permanent technology issue? And if it is, we should be meeting in persons, because I'm sure we have things to.
No, no,
in
it's not.
Executive session. Okay.
No, it's not.
Things I have to discuss, but
Is there a way, Rose, that we send a separate link for the executive session and keep this meeting streaming until we're back?
you mean go,
yeah, I
you mean go
suppose
into
we could-
executive
we could s-
session at closure or whatever?
You
kind
could
of thing.
set a separate Zoom link for just the executive session and keep this one open if they.
Yeah, that's true. I wasn't expecting a setup like it is today, so I
All right,
didn't.
we can
Interesting.
do that after the meeting. And then you let in who you want to let in, and it's not being streamed at that point. I think it's
Okay.
important that the board discuss a few things.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for the clarification, both chair and council, CEO and council, I should say. That brings us to the chair's report. Seems to be some movement out there with some potential development in the area. One thing I just wanted to touch briefly on, just is wide open to the whole board, and a couple of the members who were at the public hearing last night could kind of back it up. I mean, I know our mission is to really try to help people get an understanding of what an IDA actually does. But here we are X amount of times and people still think that we're opening up a wallet and handing money out or giving checks out or whatever. So we have to strive to do a little bit of a better job, because I think it's kind of embarrassing for people when they move forward, and no one's looking to correct or embarrass anyone, but we're trying to make it clear what the IDA does and what the whole quote unquote financing is. And there's still just not a general understanding of it, which I'm not saying people would jump on the bandwagon and say, hey, the IDA is the greatest thing in the world, but they'd have a better understanding of how the whole thing works. So just a view. I mean, there were a couple other board members there, Mr. Ham, Mr. Jones. I mean, would you agree with what I'm saying?
I think, Chair, that it's always a journey and continual effort to
Sure.
explain what we do, why we do it, and how we do it, and transparency, which we do, I believe, provide. And so it's a journey.
Yeah, no, I got it. And it's, I just want people to have a better understanding of how everything works. And, when you have that, then it's real good discussion you have over these things. So, okay, outside of that, I don't really, Dr. D?
No, I was just going to say that this just reinforces even more, our discussion last month about the need to do some good marketing and some of the ideas around the video. So it sounds like more of just really reinforcing what we've already recognized as
Sure.
as a challenge for the IDA.
Absolutely.
I think Diane, you're spot on with that, and the chair is 100% correct. People are totally out of the loop here how this works, and in conversations with people, everybody believes that we have a tree in the backyard and we just go pick the money off and we hand away taxpayers' money like that, and that's not the case. And anybody that does believe that should come in and sit down with us or come to one of our training sessions, and they should be more educated on it. And I really believe the video that who's working on that, Diane, Dan, and Orlando.
We have a meeting that we're setting up very
Mhm.
shortly to start on all that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very helpful.
The
Chair?
big question, Chair, I have is how do we get this out? Because most people will never look at that video. Most people don't want to be educated. They'd rather complain. So how do we actually get people in our community understand what we're doing?
I went through a very tough thing in my life, not to get through it. And a friend of mine said, Jimmy, did you do everything you could possibly do? Well, that's what this board is charged with, doing everything we think we can do. We put together a quality video that your team is working on along with Faye and whoever, and find an avenue to get it out there. We got to have it first before we can do that. And if it takes us sending it to every public board there is in the county, whether it's town boards, school boards, legislature, whatever it is, then we'll have exhausted the things that we have to do. And at that point, the mission falls on these other entities to disseminate the information out there to their taxpayers or their committees or whatever it is. But we're going to do our best to make people understand. It won't be for lack of trying on our end, that's for sure, because we got a bunch of good board members here that really want to have public understanding of what it is we're doing. Yes, Dr. Diane.
I would just say, I think we build it and they will come was not going to work. I mean, so I think it's really about trying to understand. One is building the content and the messaging. And then the second part of that is meeting people where they are. How do people get their information? And I think it maybe takes some creativity and persistence, but I don't think we're just going to put it, at least my anticipation was not, we're going to create this great video and people are just going to come watch it. We're going to have to really think strategically about how we push it out and get the message out to people where they are.
Well,
I think one
I'll
thing
tell you
we do
what,
is on the county Facebook page.
I sat on some training and updating and whatever from the ABO yesterday, and it's amazing because I don't think I've ever maybe listened to 2 podcasts in my whole life, but I asked the question. I said, well, how about commercials, or how about print ads, or how about billboards? Oh no, that doesn't work. You got to do podcasts, and I don't agree with that. I don't think podcasts do it. I think you got to inundate people with the message. We just got to figure out again how to get it across. But I'm sure we'll come up with a very professional, well-read product to let people see. So.
I think
Chair,
it would be a good opportunity. Sorry, Rick. I think it would be a good opportunity to also maybe collaborate with economic development on helping to get the message out. Tim is on, and so I'm sure that they would like to help with that. And also, if we could send it out to the local town boards, et cetera, and at least start from like a top down kind of.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. And listen, I'm fine with it. Check with the chair of that committee along with the CEO and extend an invitation to Ulster County Economic Development. They're supposed to be our partners in this whole thing. I'm sure Tim wouldn't have a problem weighing in on it. You have an opinion, Tim? Come on.
I'm listening. So, I'm, happy to talk more offline, but yeah.
Listen, they're putting together a video, Tim. You know what? They want to work hand in hand and on getting the information out. So you're more than welcome to join in. I'm a hands-off approach. We have Orlando and Faye and Rose and Danny, I believe you're involved in that as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so, work with the county.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be happy to work with you. We've been thinking about the same kinds of things, so I think it makes a lot of sense.
Well, usually the first one's better than the sequel, Tim. So be a part of the winner here.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all the help. That was something I want, just an observation that I wanted to bring up about the information that's out there right now. So that's it for me. Any questions? No? Okay. The CEO report, please.
Thanks, Jimmy. So, as we alluded to with the marketing meeting that we'll be having, but there are small group meetings and committee meetings that are tentatively scheduled, and it looks like there might be some conflict still. So I want to try to resolve those today if possible, and then I'll be in touch with the board members that are affected by that. Yesterday, as the chair said, he and I attended an IDA workshop put on by the New York State Economic Development Council. Topics included an extensive study on the economic impact of the important roles that IDAs play, an ABO training for IDA staff and board, prevailing wage of what we know and basically what we don't know about the implementation that's supposed to start on January 1st. An in-depth look at a new cost benefit analysis tool, and the same discussion and look at a new appraisal model for wind and solar, the same one that we had the day of our IDA board training. And then lastly, there was an update from the Office of the State Comptroller. So I just wanted to share my screen quickly. Don't worry, it won't take a long time, but just to tell you, this was something we saw that was out there yesterday. The New York State Economic Development Council put together some information and did an extensive study on that, like I was saying, on the economic impact that IDAs have. So if you're interested and want to check it out, you can go to the EDC's website, projects, and the IDA impact analysis. When you click on that, a whole dashboard will show up, and you can look at, this is so tiny on here. Hold on, click on the arrows. Here we go. You can click on this and you can view the impact that all of the IDAs in New York State have had. You can also filter it by region or by IDA, project purpose, project type, year, etc. As of right now, it only has the years 18 and 19. If there are IDAs missing, it's because their Paris reporting was not done. Don't worry, ours is on here. So I did pull up ours just to look at it yesterday. And you can see the total, this is for the year of 2019. So you can see the total amount of mortgage recording tax exemptions that we gave in 19 was $137,000. Sales tax exemption was $371,000, and then the property tax exemption. You can also see the total project amounts for all of the projects cumulatively through 2019 that are active at this moment, which is $420 million that was put into Ulster County, as well as $5.82 million of new revenue for local governments just in 2019. Then you can see the average salary of jobs retained, the average salary of jobs created. The estimated jobs created is 1,000, and the estimated jobs retained is 2,000 for us. So if you're interested in looking at that, that's how you get to it. If you have any questions or don't remember how to do it, please feel free to call the office, and I'd be happy to walk you through it. So
What's that one that says Ham Realty? What's that all about?
That's Mike's business. No, that's
okay.
That's Brooklyn Bottling's real estate holding company. No relation.
Oh, really?
So then the prevailing wage and MWBE rules, I just wanted to point out one important fact was that those rules don't apply until 30% of the project is funded by public funds. However, We don't know still if that's total construction costs, if it's total project costs, like what we're used to when we're dealing with figuring out how much a project costs. We don't know the rules because there's supposed to be a board that was set in place to define it. The prior governor never got that far, and the current governor has not gotten that far yet. So it's just a lot of up in the air, and we'll do the best we can to stay on top of it. Loki Brill was one of the presenters for that, so we'll obviously rely on them and the advice from council to help walk us through as the rules keep changing here.
There's a lot there in that there's a lot of written words that they kind of threw at a page and nothing really makes sense. I don't, honestly, as a guy who came from that background of labor and prevailing wage, I don't think you're going to see any impact because I don't think the state is up to snuff on it. And, I'm not sure if it's going to work where determinations are consistent or just a lot of different things. So I think it'll all be hashed out at the end of the day in some other direction. It's really, honestly, misleading at best. I have some contacts, longtime contacts in the Department of Labor that I spoke with regarding this, just to get a feel for it, with that time frame coming up. And if you could see them and it wasn't just a conversation on the phone, they'd be shrugging their shoulders and their hands would be out and their palms would be up saying, I don't know. So it doesn't help them either, but let's hope Governor Hochul, good, bad, whatever it is from wherever you stand, moves forward with this thing and puts together a board and whatever it is, because whatever they do is going to make it easier for us. And we're not going to, at the end of the day, have to backtrack over things because we made a decision based on what we thought was the case. So is that it for you, Rose?
Almost. I wanted to say one of the other things that they pointed out for the prevailing wage law was that there's a new word that was added, and we're not sure if they meant to write pre-exempt or if they meant to write preempt. So I mean, there's a lot of flaws and a lot of issues on the table, and we're just going to have to wait and play it by ear here. The cost benefit analysis tool that was shown was very simple and Microsoft Excel based, but I really liked it. Maybe that's because I'm comfortable with Microsoft Excel. I'll bring that along with some other options available to the board members that are meeting to go over the new software choice that we'll have to make since Inform Analytics will be no longer.
Well, let me ask you a quick question, and seeing how Tim is here, maybe he could chime in. What's economic development utilizing? What software for cost efficiency, whatever?
So we don't currently have a license because we don't do that analysis that Inform Analytics does. But in the past, we've used Inform Analytics. We also have used spreadsheets and models through Implan, which has input-output multipliers that can calculate economic impact. And I think at one point there was another tool. I'm not sure, Rose, if it's one that you're familiar with. I can't even remember the name, but there was another tool, a kind of competitor to Inform Analytics that we used at one point.
Are you, I guess what I'm asking you, Tim, is not what you're doing right now, but what your plans are moving forward. Because, it is better if we're all kind of using the same software and analytics. And that way we're not running into a pissing contest over who's right, who's wrong. So
sure,
I would appreciate it if, from whatever position economic development's coming from, you share it with the IDA and we can all get on the same page, and it's easier that way, right?
Yeah, sounds good. I'll connect with Rose and share. We've done some research into products that are out there, and so we can connect together and compare notes.
And Rose has done some research as well, correct, Rose?
Yes, I have. So I'd obviously be happy to share it with you as well, Tim. Almost done here. I'm about to start scheduling the year-end site visits. The audit committee was very hopeful that board members would participate again this year, even though the meetings are likely to be in person rather than over Zoom. There's a real difference in the information, as I'm sure you can imagine, that you can get by being at a project site rather than talking to an owner that's sitting in his living room. We'll schedule the site visits and then I'll send out a schedule for you all to jump onto. And, we'll touch base when that time comes in the next couple weeks. I reached out to the EDT PHT committee of the legislature about our quarterly meeting, but we likely won't be meeting this quarter because they have a lot on their plate with the budget and year-end planning. That's it for me, Chair.
When people go, one second, Dr. D, when people are going to go out on these visits, are you giving them a checklist?
Yep, so we have a questionnaire that we normally use, and then we went over it again at the last audit committee meeting that we had to see if the questions were still relevant.
Thank you. Dr. D?
I just wanted to real quickly come back to the website that Rose shared. And Rose, two questions. One is, when are they going to update it? So it only took it up to 2019, right? Do you know when they'll update the information?
Yeah, I would imagine, so the Office of the State Comptroller doesn't finish their report on IDAs until usually October. Of course, we're now in November. So usually October, November. Last year, they were months late because of COVID. And there are IDAs, you're allowed to use the excuse, whether right or wrong, I'm not debating that, that COVID is an issue, so your report can be late. So I imagine they're waiting a little bit longer.
Okay, because I'm
But I
part of my
can certainly
thinking.
touch base, Diane.
Yeah, because the reason I ask is I'm thinking we could probably pull some of that data, which would be great to use in some infographics
Right.
for the messaging that we want to put out to the community about the benefits of the work that we do.
Yeah,
Well,
then we certainly have our own, like I could do it for our own very easily. As far as IDAs statewide, you're right, we'd have to wait.
But probably by the time we get into doing the video or whatever we're going to be doing, that information will be available.
Great. Thanks, Rose.
No problem.
That's it, Rose?
Yes.
Okay. I need a motion to accept the CEO's report, please.
I'll make that motion.
Thank
Thank you, Dr. D. Thank you, Faye. I need a second.
Second,
Thank
Jimmy.
you, Mr. Savona. Anyone on the question? Any more questions for our well-prepared CEO this morning? All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Committee reports, audit.
Thank you, Chair. The exciting world of audits. If you go to page 19 in the meeting packet, you'll see Loki Brow's report. And this month has reported 68 workers reported and 68 are compliant. So they're at 100% compliancy for this month. Last month they were at 96%, in August 82.6. So their compliance rates are improving from month to month. RBW is now on their radar, but they're only doing insurance monitoring only with that project at this point. And then just the only other thing I wanted to add to piggyback off of Rose is with the site visits. During a discussion several months ago we had about site visits, the importance of board members going out with Faye, and just a great opportunity to get to know to know projects and people associated with those projects and build those relationships. So just a plug to highly encourage everybody. I know it's a busy time of year, but if you can get out there with Rose, I think it would be very beneficial.
Quick
Thank you,
question
Chair.
for you, Chair. Quick question for you regarding the labor monitoring reports. Have you found, or do you think I should say, we should review them? Is there anything that may possibly have come up over the last year that we should add for a typical labor monitoring report, or not? Are you comfortable?
Well, we talked about this, and I think there's some things that we want to work with Loki Brill in changing their contract and the type of reporting that they'll be giving us. So again, based on conversations that we've had in our previous meetings, our hope is when we move into a new contract with them, that we'll have more detailed and nuanced, frankly, tracking and monitoring and increasing the number of actual site visits they do to give us a better insight into what's going on with these projects. So I don't know, Rose, what's the timing for us changing contractually?
I'm glad you asked, actually. So just this week, the contract was finalized on both ends. I had edited it based on the changes that we had discussed. Loki Brill was okay with it and Joe was okay with it as well. So we'll be making some of those changes, such as going to monthly monitoring as opposed to bi-monthly.
Okay, so just, again, just procedurally, you're going to bring that back, show governance, and then audit as well, and then come back to the board with it?
Yep.
Okay. We can expect that for December?
Yes, sir. It's all
Okay.
set.
Maybe get a copy of it out prior to that meeting and give people an opportunity to, scribble on it or whatever it is they want to do, if there's a
Sure.
concern or a question. So thank you very much. Okay, finance, Faye,
Oh, there's no finance chair this month.
we got no money?
No, nothing, zero. I
Okay.
spent it all.
All right. Maybe we get somebody to loan us a few dollars. What do you think? As everybody's looking at their shoes going, and boy, I hope they don't ask me. All right, governance, Mr. Hand.
Chair, there's no report on governance this month. We have a meeting scheduled for December 13th at 1:30 PM.
Okay, what I want you to take up, and I spoke briefly with, and maybe you can speak to council. Sometimes, like we have a situation today where we have a videographer in doing it, and if we have NDAs in place, I want it for the firm, not the individuals.
Okay.
Okay, I think that should go into our agreements with providers where necessary, so we don't run into a situation.
Okay,
Maybe kick it around with your folks.
absolutely.
You get where I'm going with that, Chair, Council?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do, Chair, yes.
All right, okay. Just a housekeeping thing. All right, old business, status of pending projects.
Thank you, Chair. Yep.
Joe, go ahead.
Page 20 of the materials. I'm not going to go through each one individually. Hot projects are Area and Romeo. I'm very confident that both are going to close based on discussions with project applicants. Fourth quarter, Kingstonian, again, that's a fourth quarter plan closing. To be honest, Chair, I'm probably a week behind, maybe a week and a half behind on getting papers out, but we'll have papers out this week, including draft to Mr. Jones and Ms. Woodward on the pilot agreement and the clawback agreement. So things are moving forward on all the projects.
Okay, well, listen, that's great. Any questions for Joe on any of that? Yes, Dr. D.
Joe, with the Kingstonian, I think, if I understand correctly, they have to hold a public hearing for the extension before they can, will that have any impact on the timing? In terms of closing in the fourth quarter for us, with us?
And sorry, Diane, I'm not briefed on that issue. We obviously have done everything we need to do. I'm not fully apprised of the extension issue that you're talking about.
So apparently what's happened with the street that they're using for the bridge over the plaza, there's an easement, and then there's also part of the street that the town would be giving to the project. And so the easement's been approved, but apparently the actual part of the street, the public street, has been reported that there's now going to have to be a public hearing related to that before they can move forward. And the question I have is just would it potentially impact us in terms of the fourth quarter closing?
What I can do is I can reach out to their council and then report back to you. I'll send it, and you won't have to wait until the December meeting. I'll send an email out to the group on what the status, on what potential impacts that will have.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Status of pending enforcement matters.
Yes, thank you, Chair. That's the next page. And again, I'm just going to summarize Basically, all are moving forward. The one that has a little bit of a wrinkle is Darien Lake, because I'm trying to resolve some pilot issues. There appears to have been some improper pilot bills issued by the county in the past. But for instance, the Amthor projects, let me get to that page, sorry. The Amthor project, the Viking projects, those are greenhouse, the documents are fine. And Golden Hill, I just need to coordinate with the city assessor with respect to potential clawback payments. But all are moving forward, and we should have all of them resolved by year end.
Can't beat that, Joe. Can't beat that. Any questions for Joe on that?
Just by way of context, I think, and you see it with the amount of materials that are coming out of office, the volume of work that's taking place with this IDA and with, frankly, economic development in general in upstate New York is unprecedented. I'm actually, it's reminding me of the late 80s with respect to volume, and that reflects both on my age and frankly, the amount of work that's going on, which is really a good thing. And again, the reason why I'm talking fourth quarter rather than the next 2 weeks, because it's just a fair amount of work that's taking place.
That's good. Maybe they'll all land in Ulster County. And you won't find a blade of grass anywhere. Okay. That brings us to Bayside Marlboro. I see a couple Bayside people down there on the bottom. I don't see them, but I see their names. Rose, Joe?
Hi, Jenny.
Hey,
Yep, so
wait,
I was gonna say Dan Rieger is here and then Lauren
Lauren's
Rakowski.
here also.
If you turn to page 23 of the packet, you can see some spreadsheets that I put together for the project based on some changes to the pilot schedule and what they had sent over to me. The change numbers look like they don't make sense a little bit, but it's not a huge difference. There was a little bit of a difference in the tax rate from what I found and what was originally there, but we're talking literally like a fraction of a cent kind of issue, but it just because of the large dollar amount, it expanded out into a little bit larger number, but nothing to be too concerned about. The main reason for the comparison here was if you look at page 23, the column all the way to the right at the bottom, you can see that there was a decrease in the estimated value of their pilot by $1.7 million because they're looking to pay the school district a lot more in tax since they're the ones that are going to feel the impact of their building. And so I'll let them take it from there.
Lauren, you want to go?
Yes, yeah, sure. So we had some conversations with the school and, worked out what it might look like if we change the percentages paid to the town, the county, and the school. So what we did was, you'll see on the schedule that Rose circulated, we started the school at 50% of our tax burden to the school, and increase that starting in year 8. And then for the town and the county, we started at the percentage that we previously discussed, which was an 87% abatement, but we escalated it much more quickly so that we could get to, in year 8, we could get to the 50% that the school is at, and then they grow together. So like Rose said, it decreased the value of the pilot for us, but we feel that we've got some people in our court here that would help to move this ahead. And nothing else here changed in terms of, the 10% affordable units and any of the other items that we've previously discussed. It really was just making this a little bit more favorable for the school so that we could, we can, like I said, we can get folks on board to get this project moving forward. Dan, was there anything you wanted to add?
No, I mean, we had some brief, we had some brief conversations that we felt like this, this is where it's going to work with the school board and this is what they needed. So, that's where we got it to make it work. So now, we're hoping that it's more in line with what everybody needs to be happy, and we can keep moving forward.
Do you have a sign off from the school board saying that?
We don't have anything formal yet. We're working on getting on the agenda to get that done with them. So as soon as it's done in a formal manner, we'll come back to you and let you know that it's that we have formal sign off.
How do you stand with the town at this point? Same kind of thing? You're cautiously optimistic? Is that the words I'm looking for?
Yeah, we're cautiously optimistic. Obviously, as of a couple of weeks ago, last week, there's going to be a change in the town coming up come January. So, we think that we may have to, just based on timing and the end of the year coming and holidays and all that stuff, it may make sense to kind of wait until January to push this across the finish line and formalize things with the town. But yes, cautiously optimistic is.
Good. Well, we wish you the best of luck in moving it forward. It's it's a lot of things go on. I sometimes get chastised by some people for saying there's no such thing as a typical pilot anymore, but you're always dealing with a whole new set of hurdles, I guess you could put it at. And we wish you the best of luck with your working forward with your project. You guys, anything else you have?
No.
Joe?
Yeah, Chair, if I may, in connection with your conversations with the town and the school, it would be a good idea to involve me in that because, and I know you've been sending emails to me on this point.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that any resolution, if there is a resolution adopted by any of those jurisdictions, that we play a role in at least looking at that to make sure that the pilot arrangement that is discussed in the resolution is clear so that gives us direction on how to move forward.
A good idea.
Sure.
Joe, I threw in here into the packet a new public hearing resolution, even though the old one didn't have numbers on it, just because it's such a different pilot schedule. And I didn't know if that would be necessary or not. And I didn't get a chance to ask you.
We're holding a public hearing for this matter. No, the prior resolution is fine. It's flexible enough that we don't need. So as soon as our file is in a satisfactory form, Rose, we can move forward with holding the public hearing.
Okay, great.
All right, folks, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bringing us up to date and your
Thank you.
matching black shirts and whatnot. I didn't get the message. All right, that brings us to new business. Afaria Incorporated, amended approval resolution. Who's talking? Rose, Joe, who?
Well, I can start. So even though he's under a pseudonym here, Ian Nichols is here for Kathy Hobbs. I know Kathy was, there, I see her now. Sorry, Kathy. Kathy's here as well. There's nothing really different. We're literally just formalizing the basically agreement that we made last board meeting, which is that Kathy is going to add the storage lockers to her wasted space in her warehouse. And so we wanted to formalize it with a resolution, and then the applicant and her attorney are here just in case there were any more questions about it. And then Joe, if you have anything to add, please do.
No, really nothing to add, Chair. This, we talked about adding the storage units at the last IDA meeting. In receiving comments from Kathy's team, she wanted it formal, she wanted it formally included in the documents, which is probably not a bad idea. Again, our paperwork lines up, which is very important from a maintenance standpoint. I thought it would be prudent to have a formal resolution which approves this, what I would characterize as minor project modification subject description. There's no additional benefits. There's no need for a public. All we're doing is refining the project description. If what kind of changes are not that unusual given the length of time and when we
Just to wrap it up, it's amended, right?
Yes.
Essentially, it's amended. Does it require another roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion to take a roll call vote on the amended application, the resolution.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Let's move forward with the roll call vote, please.
James Malcolm,
Yes.
Diane Einen,
Yes.
Faye Storms. Faye, yes, sorry. Yeah, okay, sorry, I was looking down. Mike Ham,
Yes.
Orlando Reese,
Yes.
Daniel Savona,
Yes.
and Richard Jones.
Yes.
Okay, it's
Okay.
been adopted.
There you go, another happy customer. All right, anything else on that? Do you folks have anything you want to say?
No, just thank you. And as your counsel mentioned, we're really far along in the documents, and we hope to close in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We are ready and willing and able to close, and I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you very much.
I
Thank
just
you
want
for
to
your
say thank you as
patience in the
well.
whole
Good luck to you.
process. Thank you again. All right, that brings us to adjournment, but for the board members themselves, I'd like you to stay on and we'll go into that executive session. The only reason we're doing it is because we can't figure out technology. That's a tough one, and we don't want to throw everybody off and start all over again. So I could use a motion to adjourn. Oh,
Well-
Rose, just tell Bill what we're going to do.
Yeah. Joe,
Yeah,
did you?
we want to advise the public why we're going into executive session. It's, Rose, it's personnel matters. or
Yeah, it's
advice of
personnel. Yep. Thank you.
In what regard? Employment history, credit history, medical history?
Employment and financial issues.
Of a particular person?
A particular person, and also with respect to finalizing some of that issue.
Okay. Rose, since I'm getting bumped here, I do have 2 quick questions on the Bayside. The amount of the mortgage tax and sales tax. I need those
No
figures.
change. Okay, there's no change to
So
those.
the mortgage tax, $185,773.70.
If that's, I hate to say this, but if that's what's on the application, yes, that didn't change at all. All they did was change the percentage of the tax to be paid to the school district.
Okay, all
Okay,
right, thanks.
yes, and you know where to find me.
Okay. Any decisions, if you guys do come out and make any decisions, please give me a call.
I will definitely do that.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, did Joe, we formally, is Joe for, oh, I thought you were
I have a
frozen.
motion, I have a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, yes, can you please, Rod, can you please